Ever feel like you're just going through the motions? Like, you know that story about the two young
Oh,
fish?
yeah, I think I know the one.
They're just swimming along, and this wiser fish passes by
Right.
and asks, "How's the water?" And the young fish, they're totally baffled, like, "What's water?"
It's such a classic.
It is, but it perfectly captures how we can be blind to the routines and habits that shape our lives every single day, you know?
Absolutely. We're swimming in this sea of habits, routines, assumptions, and we rarely stop and actually question them.
Exactly. Which is what I found so intriguing about this Hell Week idea.
Oh, yeah, from that Russian self-help book, right?
The one and only. It's all about disrupting that flow we take for granted, pushing your boundaries. It's about unlocking a stronger, more effective you, that's for sure.
Like a crash course in self-discovery, if you will. And the source material, while intense, I have to say it makes a really interesting point. Real growth. It rarely happens in our comfort zones. It's about, getting a little uncomfortable, even for a short burst. That's where you see what you're truly capable of.
I'll admit, the name Hell Week, it's a bit intimidating, to say the least. Why would anyone willingly sign up for that?
Well, put yourself in this situation for a second. You're a Norwegian officer candidate.
Okay, I'm listening.
You're facing these grueling physical challenges. The source really describes it vividly, pushed to the absolute limit mentally and physically. And the thing is, it's not about enjoying the pain, obviously. It's about proving something to yourself, discovering what you can actually handle when you're pushed that far.
You know, it's interesting you say that because the source, it also mentions that once you've experienced that level of intensity, even for a short period, everyday problems, they just start to seem smaller, more
Yeah.
manageable.
Exactly. You've recalibrated your definition of hard, haven't you?
Totally. So it's not that the challenges vanish, but your ability to deal with them, it grows.
Yeah.
You find this resilience inside you that you maybe didn't even know you had.
That's the beauty of pushing your limits. You surprise yourself.
This is fascinating. But let's be real, most of our listeners, they're not training to be, special forces. So how does Hell Week apply to someone just looking to, I don't know, improve their everyday life? It's got to be relatable, right?
And that's the cool thing about this whole Hell Week thing. It's not like one size fits all. It's a framework, a starting point. You can tailor it to your own life and goals.
Yeah.
And the source, it breaks it down into these daily themes, which I kind of like. And it all starts with Monday. Monday is all about habits.
Habits, right? Like the foundation of any real change. It's so true. There's that quote, I don't know if you've heard it, but it's like, we are what we repeatedly do.
Yeah, excellence is not an act, but a habit. Aristotle, right?
That's the one. So how does this Hell Week actually help someone rewire those habits, those ingrained patterns we all have?
Well, the source, it gets into the science of it a bit. Talks
Yeah.
about the habit loop. It's this three-part process. Cue, routine, reward. So think about an elite athlete, right?
Okay, I got one in mind.
They're meticulous about their pregame routines. Those are the cues,
Yeah.
right? Triggers the desired performance, which is the routine, and then boom, victory, the reward.
Makes sense. So it's all about understanding those automatic responses we have and then tweaking them for, well, for better results.
Exactly. The source, it even has this little exercise, simple but powerful. Pick one habit, just one, that you want to change, and visualize yourself succeeding every day of that Hell Week.
I love that. It's not about this massive, overwhelming overhaul, right? It's laser focus. One thing, maximum impact.
Exactly. Small changes, consistent over time, they add up. You'd be surprised.
Love it. Okay, so we've got habits as the foundation. What comes next in this Hell Week journey of ours?
Tuesday. Tuesday's all about mindset.
Ugh, the mental game, so key. And there's that story in the source about the lawyer, right? He's like super successful on paper, but totally miserable.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. He lost his why, that bigger purpose. It happens to the best of us.
It's so easy to get caught up in the daily grind and lose sight of that, for sure.
The source really hammers home how crucial it is to have that clear purpose, that why. It should drive everything you do, both in your personal life and professionally.
It's about alignment, right? Actions matching your values, your dreams, all of that.
100%. And here's where it gets interesting. To cultivate a strong mindset, a focused mindset, the source borrows this technique from acting.
Oh, this is, I gotta hear. Actors, huh?
So actors, right, they use visualization all the time to evoke emotions on demand, create these vivid mental images, talk to themselves, all to really embody a feeling. And the source says you can apply this to to everyday life.
So instead of just like reacting to whatever life throws my way, I can choose how I'm going to respond.
Emotionally.
Exactly.
You become the captain of your own emotional ship, not just tossed around by every wave, right? Imagine that. Facing a tough situation with the same calm, focus, even confidence as an actor walking onto a stage.
Game changer. Okay, we've got habits, mindset.
Yeah.
What's next on this Hell Week agenda? It's Wednesday, right?
Wednesday, my friend, is all about time management.
Oh boy, can I relate to that? The to-do lists that never end, constantly feeling pulled in a million directions. It's a lot.
Tell me about it. It's a common struggle these days. But The Source, it offers some surprisingly simple yet effective strategies. And it all starts with writing everything down. Get it out of your head onto paper.
Out of my head and onto paper. Okay, I can see how that would help. Create a sense of order, maybe. What else?
Planning. Not just for the day, but for your year, for the month, the week, the works. Having clear goals for each time frame, it's like a roadmap for your time and energy.
So it's not about becoming a slave to a strict schedule. It's about having that structure to allow for, more freedom within it.
Exactly. And here's the kicker. The Source is big on tackling your tasks one at a time.
No more multitasking mayhem. I gotta admit, that's kind of a relief to hear. But is that even realistic, like in this day and age? Seriously.
I know, right? Sounds counterintuitive. But the research is clear. Focusing on one task at a time, it actually makes you way more efficient. You make fewer mistakes, too. Try it. Plan your next day using that method. I'm telling you, you might be surprised by how much you get done and how much calmer you feel.
Okay, you've convinced me. I'm ditching the multitasking madness. So that's 3 days down. What does Thursday have in store? I feel like things are about to get real.
You're not wrong. Thursday's where things get, well, uncomfortable. It's about stepping out of your comfort zone,
Yeah.
Facing a fear you've been avoiding.
This is the part where I imagine a lot of people would, I don't know, run for the hills. But the source is clear that this is a temporary thing, not about permanent misery.
Exactly. It's like this. Our brains, they're wired to choose safety and comfort over growth and expansion. This day is about recognizing how fear holds us back from our full potential, and then taking a step, however scary, towards overcoming it.
This reminds me of those Norwegian officer candidates again, pushed to their absolute limits, facing exhaustion, doubt. But the source, it really emphasizes how they find strength knowing they're not alone. Everyone's in it together, struggling right alongside them.
It's that sense of camaraderie, of shared purpose in the face of adversity. It's powerful stuff.
For sure. But how does stepping out of your comfort zone apply to someone who's not, doing some crazy physical challenge? It's got to be relatable to our everyday lives.
It's about identifying what makes you uncomfortable. What are you putting off out of fear? And then just taking that first step. It doesn't have to be huge. Maybe it's speaking up in a meeting, having a difficult conversation that you've been avoiding, or finally starting that creative project you've been dreaming about.
It's about pushing past that initial resistance, that voice in your head that says you can't do this, and proving to yourself that you absolutely can.
You got it. And you know what? More often than not, you'll find that the fear was way worse than the reality.
I love that. Okay, that's actually encouraging. So after a day of facing those fears head on, what's the focus on Friday? We need a break.
Friday is all about rest and recovery.
Music to my ears. We've earned it.
Right. But it's not just about, collapsing on the couch. A little bit of that never hurts. The source emphasizes strategic rest. For physical recovery, yeah, but also for mental clarity.
Strategic rest. So how does one actually rest strategically? Give me the inside scoop.
So think about it. If you've been doing mentally demanding work all week, switching gears might involve doing something totally different, something that engages a different part of your brain.
Switching gears. I like it. Tell me more.
Like maybe it's going for a walk in nature, listening to music, working on a creative project, something like that.
It's active engaging, not just passively zoning out in front of the TV.
Exactly. It's about giving your mind a break from its usual patterns, letting it wander and explore, recharge.
I'm definitely guilty of not doing that enough. Okay, we've covered habits, mindset, time management, faced our fears, and even learned how to rest properly. What else is there? What's next on this Hell Week journey?
Saturday. Saturday takes us inward. We're focusing on the power of our internal dialogue.
The conversations we have with ourselves. Sometimes they're great, sometimes not so much. But it's true, those inner voices, they have such a huge impact on how we feel and how we act.
Totally. And the source makes a really good point about self-talk. It's not just about being positive all the time. It's about being aware of that inner voice and making a conscious effort to choose empowering language instead of getting bogged down in the negative.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. The author actually talks about his own struggles with self-doubt and how learning to reframe his internal dialogue was a game changer for its confidence and success.
Right. It's a good reminder that we're not at the mercy of every little thought that pops into our heads. We have a choice. We can choose what we focus on.
So instead of getting swept away in that spiral of negativity, we interrupt it. Replace it with something more helpful, more empowering.
Exactly. And the source even offers a tool for doing just that. It suggests asking yourself a series of empowering questions whenever you notice those negative thoughts creeping in.
Like what? Give me some examples.
What am I grateful for in this moment? What are my strengths? What's one tiny step I can take right now to move towards my goals? Stuff like that.
Love it. I can already feel my energy shifting just hearing you say those. Okay, so after this week of pushing limits, exploring ourselves, mastering our minds, how does this Hell Week thing wrap up? Sunday, right? What happens on Sunday?
Sunday is all about reflection and gratitude, taking it all in, taking the time to really process the week's challenges and celebrate all the progress you've made.
Ah, so it's not about just like white knuckling it through the week and collapsing in a heap. There's an integration phase, a time to acknowledge how far you've come.
Exactly. And the source ties us back to the importance of the big picture, finding meaning in our everyday lives, even when things are tough, appreciating the journey, you know.
Totally. It's about taking all those lessons you've learned and bringing them back into your regular life. You know, actually using them to create something more fulfilling, a life with more intention.
Yes. And there's this beautiful part in the source where the author describes finding this incredible sense of peace and renewed perspective while spending time alone in nature. And this is in the middle of some pretty intense challenges, mind you. It's a reminder that even when things are tough, there's always beauty to be found if you just take the time to look for it.
There's something about connecting with nature that just brings you back to yourself, you know? It's grounding. It's like hitting the reset button, coming back refreshed, grateful. And speaking of coming back, we've journeyed through this whole Hell Week thing. Habits, mindset, time management. We faced our fears, learned to rest like pros, even mastered our self-talk, or at least started to. So what's it all about? What's the big takeaway from the source?
Well, the source ends on this really powerful note. It says, you become what you think about and what you say.
Ooh, I like that.
Right. It's a reminder that we have way more control than we think.
Mm-hmm.
Our thoughts, our words, they're powerful, they shape our experiences, and ultimately they shape who we become.
It's that whole self-fulfilling prophecy idea,
Right.
right? Focus on the negative, and guess what? You're going to see more negativity. But choose to focus on strengths, on gratitude, on what's possible. That's where your energy goes, and that's what you start to create.
Exactly. And it's not just about, like, putting on a happy face and pretending everything's perfect. It's about recognizing the power of your mind. It can literally shape your reality. And this Hell Week, even if you only take away a few things from it, it shows you what's possible when you get out of your comfort zone. Push your boundaries and choose to focus on growth, on change, you know.
You know, what I really appreciate about this source, it doesn't just throw these big ideas at you and leave you hanging. There are actual tools, techniques, real-life examples, even personal stories from the author. It makes it all feel doable, applicable to real life.
Totally. It's like getting this toolkit full of strategies you can use right away. It's about you taking the reins, becoming the architect of your own life. Brick by brick, habit by habit, even thought by thought.
I love that analogy, and I think that's a perfect place to wrap up this deep dive. We've explored so much, from those tiny habits to the power of mindset, from rest and recovery to the importance of that inner voice. It's a lot to digest.
It is a lot. But even if you just take one or two things from this Hell Week idea, experiment with them. I think you'll be amazed at the difference it can make.
Absolutely. Small changes, done consistently, they add up. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with that question from the source. What will you choose to focus your thoughts and words on this week?
It's about taking that control, becoming more intentional, choosing the thoughts you think, the words you speak, the reality you create.
Because you have the power to unlock your full potential, create a life that truly lights you up. And that's what we all deserve. So what will it be? The choice is yours. At the end of this podcast, please share your thoughts on the book. And if you enjoy this content, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.